Yes. Hello. Yeah. Developing sustainable quality management systems in turbulent environments. Well, so total quality management. What is total quality management? I choose to use this EFQM model. It defines total quality management within a systems perspective used for the European Quality Award. And here we see on the left side leadership, on the middle processes, and on the right side key performance results, and this is all linked together in this sort of learning loop. This is a 2003 version of the EFQM model. So this is a very practical definition of what we mean by total quality management in the European context. Now there are some challenges here. If we have this model assumes that we can implement everything in a straight way, but if we have to deal with office politics, incompetent managers, and the global complexity, this creates turbulence. So, how to design sustainable quality management systems in the context of turbulence created by incompetent management, office politics, and global complexity. Interestingly, this problem has been discussed about 30 years ago by when they looked at looked at the connection between total quality management and systems thinking, and especially this version called critical systems thinking. This book on the left, Flood and Jackson, 1999, where they defined this intervention method called total systems intervention, which was a way of trying to make the critical systems thinking philosophy operational, where they used this total quality management examples, and then that was later expanded into this book by Flood, 1993. It suggests ways of using critical systems thinking for implementing TQM based on critical awareness, emancipation, and methodological pluralism. So there are two things there. Firstly, I have this on the right, this ISO 9000 model, which symbolizes the systems thinking, which is extremely important. You have this company-wide quality management system. You have to approach the whole thing from a systems perspective. And secondly, it's this political thing, this critical awareness, emancipation. So, and this is just the key idea in this approach. TSI is to use this system of systems methodologies, SOSM, for selecting appropriate systems methods according to what appears to be the problem at a given moment. So different areas and stages of TQM implementations make use of different systems methodologies, hard, soft, and critical, although CST, critical systems thinking, is supposed to be the dominant overall perspective. So this is not only a classification, a random classification of methods, but it's also a way of looking at the system of the classification of methods from a critical perspective. And this critical perspective, which is based largely on this on critical sociologists thinking like Habermas, Foucault, Adorno, Horkheimer, and things like that. So, but the interesting thing is when this, what happens in practice. And Flood, I like this book very much, especially the first part, the theoretical part is absolutely excellent. But the problem is to come to the case studies towards the end. There are 4 case studies, and they don't really say very much about the issues like critical awareness, emancipation, and sustainability. So why is that? I think that's a weakness with this book, as I see it, at least for those of us who are interested in applying CST and work in very politically turbulent organizations, we would like more concrete examples on how this is done. So why isn't he more clear about such as? So I have this hypothesis question: could this have been avoided by looking at critical systems thinking in a manner that allows for a more direct integration between politics and systems thinking? So why not use game theory? Because let's say game theory, that has been a part of systems thinking for a very long time. If we look at this book, Introduction to Cybernetics by Ashby from 1957, he makes a very strong argument that game theory is indeed a part of systems theory. It is it's the way you look at the games, the regulation games or the control games, how feedback systems are controlled. And this is also reflected in the work in this general systems theory by Turbulent. But not only that, there is also people working within this pluralist tradition, using game theory approaches like drama theory and other sorts of like drama theory. And when we look at this at the emancipatory systems thinking, then we have people like John Elster applying game theory for articulating the Marxian sociology of philosophy. So game theory is really something that could be used through all, within all of these, could be used as a backdrop or as part of the tree, or could be integrated with all these. Seems to be possible to integrate it with all these systems methodologies. So here is the idea. The game is the interaction between decision. Game, the definition of game is interaction between decision makers. And when we look at this within the systems perspective, like here in this feedback loop, the game is when the control elements, when we make the interventions into the organization, the plant, then the game is then between the person doing the intervention and response by the plant, which may also be influenced by disturbances, so that is also part of the game. This is described, so Ashby described it very well in his book, and it was taken up by Weinberg in their 1988 book on how to design stable systems, sustainable systems, stable systems. Now, my approach, what I try to look at here, is to use the Pacman model of CST based on TQM implementation. And the idea here is to think of the interventionist, the management consultant doing interventions as this player, and you have the organization as the Pacman game, the video game. And the general idea here is to think of the organization as a Kafkaesque maze, where the quality auditor, Pacman, is implementing TQM by doing quality control, while the managers, the incompetent managers, are of course very, very afraid of what he might find, and they are trying to chase him out of the organization. So that is the it's a type of organization where it's more important to hide errors than to learn everything. But there are some special points in this game where you can make some certain important findings that may change the dynamics of the game in a drastic manner. So if you eat any of those 4 big pellets here, the game will change dramatically, and the managers will turn blue with fear, and you can chase them down and try to make them sign papers, doing improvement projects or efforts for doing continuous improvement, making further progress on the quality management system and things like that. And we also have this symbolized in this game, this bonus fruit that pops up every now and then, more or less random, which becomes more and more important as the game goes up, because the score gets higher. This represents this more global complexity, these other issues that have to do with the outside issues, not directly related to the managers. So this is the idea I have studied for many years, working in organizations using this classical action research cycle by Sussman Everett. Although in the version suggested by Jack Whitehead, it makes it more into a personal account to make an organization more anonymous and to focus on the researchers. So there are 3 games. I looked at the first one from 1999 to 2005, then one from 2014 to 2018, and then one from 2019 to 2019 to 2022. So here you see and at bottom left you see the simulation of how the total quality management implementation. Now what's happened now is what look now, I'm being chased by the managers, and then I make some important finding, and then I'm able to chase down the incompetent managers. But you see, they will only remain in this frightened state for a certain time, and then they turn back, become aggressive again, and then I make another great finding, and then I try to chase them down again and continually. So the first I did like this was from 1999 to 2005. This was described in this book using bootstrap algorithm for changing the control game. Then I did another one in a different setting in next period, which was more focused on taken from the viewpoint of implementing IT governance in public, and the most recent I have described in this book called Gamification of Total Quality Management, which focuses largely on this the use of game systems, integrating game systems in systems thinking, but focusing on this Pac-Man game, but also using other games. So the general idea had to repeat this was this worked quite well, and the focus was here to think of this interaction between the TQ implementer and the organization as a game, which is seen in this diagram here, the regulation game. And finally, what this means is a great supporter of what Flood did in this book. This was a very important book as far as I'm concerned, and that I've used extensively. It's dominated my way of understanding total quality management, but it's not so good at understanding the office politics and how to deal with that. But so that is why I believe that game theory is a very, very good on making the games, the political games, office politics explicit into the system model, and to use that for finding strategies and working on how to implement total quality management.